Reddit story. My parents invited me to a fancy family dinner, but told me to sit at the kids' table. I'm running late. The steady tick of my designer watch reminds me with each flick of the wrist as I navigate my new Audi through the tree-lined streets of my childhood neighborhood. My knuckles whiten against the steering wheel when my parents' six-bedroom colonial comes into view, its stately presence looming larger than the actual structure warrants. 28 years old, the youngest senior marketing director in my firm's history, and my stomach still knots like I'm 16 and missed curfew. I check my reflection in the rearview, designer blazer crisp, makeup flawless, hair smoothed into submission, armor all of it. The driveway is already full. Brandon's Range Rover, Olivia's family SUV, Dad's Mercedes. I park on the street like a visitor, which is exactly what I am these days. 4 visits a year, each one more exhausting than the last. My heels click against the stamped concrete path to the door. The sound sharp and purposeful. I don't knock. I never do. This performative dance of belonging requires certain steps. There she is. Mom's voice carries from the kitchen as I slip inside. We were about to start without you. No hug, no direct eye contact, just the familiar scent of roasting turkey and cranberry, and the undercurrent of disapproval that has always scented the air when I'm present. Sorry, client emergency. The lie slips out easily. Better than admitting I sat in my car for 15 minutes practicing deep breathing exercises. Always working. Dad appears in the hallway, bourbon in hand, eyes tracking my outfit with familiar appraisal. One of these days you'll find something more important than that job. My smile stiffens but holds. Nice to see you too, Dad. I follow the sounds of conversation to the dining room where Olivia is arranging flowers at the center of a table, glittering with Mom's best china and crystal. Brandon sprawls in a chair, phone in hand, barely glancing up as I enter. Savannah, Mom says, appearing behind me, go ahead and sit at the kids' table. We've got a spot for you there. The words hit like a physical blow. I turn slowly, certain I've misheard. But there it is, the plastic folding table set up in the corner of the dining room, ringed with colorful children's chairs and set with themed paper plates. My nieces and nephews aren't even there yet, still playing in the basement from the sounds of distant squeals. The kids' table? My voice emerges steady despite the heat rising in my cheeks. Mom's expression remains pleasant, unbothered. We need the space at the main table for Gregory's parents. They're joining us this year. She gestures to Olivia's in-laws, whom I've met exactly twice. I stand frozen, the memory of this morning's preparation washing over me. The care I took selecting this outfit, the extra time spent on my hair, the pep talk in my bathroom mirror. Just get through today. It's just 4 hours. My apartment had felt like a sanctuary this morning. The framed award on my desk, the notification of my promotion still open on my laptop. My friend Maya's voice on the phone. Why do you still go? Seriously, Savannah, what would happen if you just didn't? Now, trapped in the doorway between escape and humiliation, I consider objecting. My lips part, protests forming on my tongue. Brandon looks up from his phone, catching my expression. His eyes narrow slightly, a familiar look that says, don't make a scene. The same look he gave me when I tried to explain my first gallery showing, when I announced my promotion, when I bought my apartment without parental financial support. Fine. The word tastes bitter. I force my feet to move toward the children's table, acutely aware of every eye not watching me, of the deliberate conversations continuing as if this is normal, as if this isn't a statement written in plastic and paper. I lower myself into a chair meant for a child, knees nearly touching my chest, the edge of the table hitting at an awkward height that forces me to hunch. My niece's unicorn plate sits before me, the cartoon eyes seeming to mock my discomfort. The children filter in, eyes wide with confusion at finding an adult at their designated table. My 7-year-old nephew Ben tilts his head. Aunt Savannah, why are you sitting with us? I swallow hard, just mixing things up. At the main table, conversation flows without interruption. Mom leans toward Olivia. How's the baby sleeping these days? Brandon, Dad's voice carries, tell Gregory about that promotion. Glasses clink as my father raises his in a toast. To family success, he says, his gaze touching everyone but me. The adults murmur in agreement, a chorus I'm not part of. I watch them from my exile, the realization settling cold and heavy in my stomach. This table, This ridiculous child-sized plastic throne is the perfect symbol for my entire life in this family. Always adjacent, never included, tolerated, never celebrated. My 7-year-old niece Lucy bumps her juice cup, sending a purple wave across the table and directly onto my cream silk blouse. The cold seeps through immediately, grape juice bleeding into expensive fabric. Sorry, Aunt Savannah. Her little face crumples with genuine remorse. It's okay, sweetie. I dab at the spreading stain with a paper napkin, the material disintegrating against wet silk. Something breaks inside men, not dramatically, but with a quiet finality, like ice shifting beneath the surface of a frozen lake. I stand up, the child's chair scraping against hardwood. I fold my paper napkin carefully, placing it beside the cartoon plate. Mom glances over, brow furrowing. Savannah, is something wrong with your seat? I don't answer. My steps are measured as I walk to the hallway closet and retrieve my coat. I can feel their eyes now, finally seeing me as I prepare to disappear. Some traditions aren't worth preserving. The door closes behind me with a soft click instead of the slam my trembling hands want to deliver. Restraint, my lifelong companion. Savannah, where are you going? My mother's voice carries through the front window, that perfect pitch of controlled outrage that's country club friends for decades. I turn, meeting her eyes through the glass. I'm leaving. Enjoy your dinner. Simple words, no dramatics, just truth delivered without padding or apology. My hands shake as I slide the key into the ignition. The Audi purrs to life, its gentle vibration steadying me as I pull away from the curb. The silence in the car wraps around me, unfamiliar and terrifying. 28 years of family Thanksgivings, and I've never once left early. My phone buzzes before I reach the first stoplight. Then again and again. By the time I'm 3 blocks away, the notifications have become a continuous hum against my thigh. My family's collective outrage transmitted through cellular waves. At a red light, I glance down. Brandon, stop acting like a child. Come back. The irony would be amusing if it weren't so painful. I was literally sitting at a children's table 10 minutes ago, but I'm the one acting childish. My voicemail indicator flashes. I tap it, putting it on speaker while I drive. Savannah, my father's voice fills the car, bourbon rough. Enough of this nonsense. Get home now. Not a request to command issued to an underling. Not a successful adult woman. 2 more texts arrive in quick succession. Olivia, Mom is freaking out. Just come back and talk. You're ruining dinner. The family group chat explodes with messages. What is going on with her? She's always been so sensitive. Should we be worried? This is so embarrassing with Gregory's parents here. My exit wasn't about creating a scene, but their responses reveal how thoroughly they misunderstand me. I don't want drama. I just wanted a place at the table. A real place. I drive without destination until neon lights catch my eye at 24-hour diner glowing against the darkening November sky. The parking lot is half full. Other holiday refugees seeking sanctuary from family obligations. The warmth hits me as I step into not just physical heat, but something more essential. The waitress looks up from wiping a counter, her eyes taking in my designer clothes, the mascara smudge I can feel beneath my right eye. Honey, you look like you could use some coffee. She doesn't ask what's wrong or why I'm alone on Thanksgiving. Just slides a mug in front of me as I settle into a booth. And maybe a slice of pie, she adds. Her smile genuine in a way my mother's never is. That would be perfect. My voice cracks on the words. While waiting, I scroll through my phone's photo gallery. Each swipe reveals another family gathering where the pattern is clear once I allow myself to see it. Christmas 3 years ago. Everyone clustered around the tree while I stand slightly apart, half cropped from the frame. My college graduation. My parents flanking my siblings in the foreground while I hold my honors diploma just out of focus. I screenshot a text from my mother from last year. How's that little job going? Still enjoying playing businesswoman? Senior marketing director? Youngest in company history. But in her eyes, I'm playing pretend. I find the email from my father sent to Brandon and Olivia, but accidentally copying me. Investment opportunity too complex to include Savannah. You know she wouldn't understand it anyway. My calendar reveals the pattern to 8 consecutive family events where I was seated at a side table, at the end of the row or literally in another room. The pie arrives, golden crust and tart cherries as I compose my message to the family group chat. I select the Christmas photo, the one where I'm half cropped out, and type a caption. The perfect family. Always making sure the youngest one knows her place. I continue typing. My fingers steady now. This isn't just about the table. I've been treated like an afterthought my entire life. When you all actually see me as an equal, let me know. My thumb hovers over the send button. The single action will fracture 28 years of acquiescence. Once sent, there's no pretending anymore. No more good daughter who swallows indignities with a smile. I press send, then power off my phone completely. The pie tastes better than any Thanksgiving meal I can remember. I savor each bite, leaving a generous tip before walking back to my car. My spine feels straighter. My shoulders lowered from their perpetual defensive hunch. Savannah? Savannah Reeves? I turn to find Mark Connolly, my lab partner from AP Chemistry, now a pediatrician according to the occasional social media glimpse. Mark, hi. He studies my face with professional assessment. You look different, lighter somehow. I smile, surprised to find it genuine. I finally put down something heavy I've been carrying for years. He nods like he understands, though he couldn't possibly know what transpired today. But maybe he recognizes the universal look of someone who's finally chosen themselves after years of self-abandonment. As I drive toward home, not theirs, I wonder what happens next. Will I withstand the guilt storm that's surely brewing? Will I cave when my mother cries or my father threatens? Or will this be the first day of a new chapter where I finally stand my ground? The night sky opens above me, vast and full of possibilities I never allowed myself to see while squeezing into spaces too small to contain me. I drop my keys into the ceramic bowl by the door, a piece I bought from a local artist to celebrate my first promotion. The sound echoes through my apartment, bouncing off the exposed brick walls that I fell in love with 3 years ago when I signed the lease without a co-signer, without my parents' approval. My designer blazer slides from my shoulders, heavy with the weight of today's confrontation. I hang it carefully in the closet, muscle memory preserving the expensive fabric even as my mind races with the gravity of what I've done. I've never walked out before, not once in 28 years. My apartment glows with the warm light of success. They refuse to acknowledge the framed marketing award on my office wall. The signed prints from campaigns that doubled client revenue. The sleek furniture I selected and purchased myself. No hand-me-downs, no parental subsidies. I kick off my heels and pad across the hardwood to the living room wall where family photos hang in artful arrangement. Mom insisted I display them during her only visit, so you don't forget where you came from, Savannah. My fingers trace the gilt frame of last year's Christmas portrait, Brandon and Olivia flanking our parents, their spouses and children arranged in perfect formation. And met slightly off-center, half a step behind the group, my smile not quite reaching my eyes. I lift the frame and remove it from its hook. One by one, I take down each family photo, creating a stack on my coffee table. Not destroyed, just removed from my daily sight line. The wall looks strangely empty, but I feel fuller somehow. My phone sits dark and silent on the counter where I abandoned it hours ago. The notification light blinks, accusing Laird, red. I leave it there and open a bottle of wine instead. Tonight, I sleep uninterrupted by family-induced anxiety for the first time in memory. Number 3 a.m. Spiral of imagined criticisms. No mental rehearsal of responses to potential jabs. Just darkness and peace, and the distant sound of city traffic below my window. Morning light streams through my eastern windows, painting golden patterns across my bedspread. I stretch, muscles relaxed in a way that feels foreign after years of tension. For a moment, I forget yesterday's upheaval and simply exist in the warmth. Then reality returns, and with it, a strange sensation in my chest. Not the familiar tightness of dread, but something lighter. Something that feels dangerously like freedom. I shower, dress in soft lounge clothes, and make coffee before approaching my phone. The blinking light has become frantic texts, calls, voicemails accumulating throughout the night. I take a deep breath and press the power button. The notifications flood my screen in a digital avalanche of family reaction. Dad, 6:42 p.m. Where did you go? Call your mother immediately. Dad, 7:15 p.m. Your mother is devastated. Fix this now. Mom, 6:38 p.m. Savannah, please come back. We're worried about you. Mom, 8:24 p.m. I don't understand why you're crying. Olivia, 6:55 p.m. Where are you? Mom's freaking out. Olivia, 8:42 p.m. Do you realize how selfish you're being? Mom can't stop crying. The messages escalate through the evening, concern morphing to anger, then outright threats. Dad's final text suggests reconsidering financial support I haven't received since college. My brother questions my mental stability. My sister invokes family loyalty as if it's a one-way obligation. I scroll through them with growing clarity, seeing the manipulation tactics laid bare, the guilt, the gaslighting, the collective rewriting of reality where I'm the villain for refusing to accept the unacceptable. Then a text from an unexpected sender stops my thumb mid-scroll. Emma, 13, Olivia's daughter. I get it, Aunt Save. They make me feel invisible too. My breath catches. I read it 3 times, my niece's simple words cutting through the noise of adult accusations. She sees it too, the subtle exclusion, the dismissal of worth. My phone vibrates with an incoming call. The name surprises me. Aunt Vivian, Dad's sister, who disappeared from family gatherings years ago. The black sheep who chose career over children and paid the price in familial currency. Savannah, it's Vivian. Her voice sounds both foreign and familiar. A blood connection speaking through years of absence. Aunt Viv, it's been 6 years, I know. Your cousin Marcus showed me your message. About the kids' table. She pauses, her breath audible through the connection. I want you to know you're not crazy. The validation hits me like a physical force. I sink onto my couch, emotions threatening to overcome my careful composure. I went through the same thing when I chose career over kids, she continues. Your father and mother couldn't reconcile my choices with their worldview, so they simply reduced me, made me smaller, put me at the metaphorical kids' table until I stopped coming to dinner altogether. Memories surface of childhood questions about Aunt Vivian's absence. She doesn't care about family, was the standard response. A simple explanation that absolved everyone else of responsibility. I always wondered why you stopped visiting. I admit, voice barely above a whisper, same reason you walked out yesterday. Dignity has a breaking point, Savannah. After we hang up, I pull my journal from the desk drawer and open to a blank page. At the top, I write boundaries in bold capitals, then begin listing them with surprising clarity. 1. I will only attend family gatherings where I'm treated as an equal adult. 2. I will no longer accept dismissive comments about my career. 3. I will meet on neutral ground, not the family home. The list grows, each boundary a brick in the foundation of my self-respect. When it's complete, I call my therapist for an emergency session, then my friend who answers with immediate concern. I did it, I tell her. I finally walked out. Holy shit, Save, she breathes. I'm so proud of you. 2 hours later, I find myself on an online forum for adults navigating family estrangement. The stories mirror mine with eerie similarity, the consistent exclusion, the subtle undermining, the moment of clarity that triggered action. I'm not alone in this experience, not broken or overly sensitive, just human with normal human limits. By evening, I've compiled evidence of the pattern: photos, text screenshots, a timeline of incidents spanning years. I practice responses to anticipated arguments. I'm not angry. I'm establishing boundaries. This isn't about one dinner. It's about a lifetime of exclusion. I'm not asking for special treatment, just equal treatment. I arranged to meet them at a coffee shop, downtown public, neutral, time limited. I text Maya to check on me halfway through. My phone rings just after 9. Mom's name flashes on the screen. I let it ring 3 times, centering myself before answering. Hello, Mom. Savannah. Her voice is controlled, the practiced tone of someone who believes they hold the power. Your father and I have decided we're willing to forgive you for yesterday's display. The old Savannah would have accepted this opening, grateful for any path back to approval. But that version of me sat at a folding kids' table and accepted paper plates while adults dined on china. I inhaled deeply, feeling my spine straighten. That's interesting, I reply, my voice steady and clear, because I'm still deciding if I'm willing to forgive you. The silence that follows stretches so long, I check to see if the call disconnected. But Nosha's there, breathing, recalibrating a world where her youngest daughter has suddenly, irrevocably changed the script. It was just a table, Savannah. My mother's voice through the phone carries that familiar dismissive tone, the one that's diminished my experiences since childhood. I grip my phone tighter, pacing the hardwood floors of my apartment, the space I bought myself, the life I built without their help or approval. It wasn't just a table, Mom. My voice remained steady. Practice from hours of rehearsal with my therapist. It was what the table represented. You're being dramatic. I'm being honest. I stopped pacing, standing tall beside the framed marketing award on my wall. The kids' table was just the final insult in a pattern that's existed my entire life. I tick off the evidence I've compiled in my journal. You excluded me from Brandon's investment group because, and I quote, it's for people with real careers. You introduced Olivia as your successful daughter at the you've seated me away from adults at every family gathering since I turned 18. The silence on the other end stretches long enough that I check to see if she's hung up. That's not how it happened, she finally says. But her voice lacks its usual conviction. I have the text, Mom. I have photos. I have emails. I trace my finger along the compass tattoo on my wrist, me private reminder to follow my own direction. This isn't about one dinner. This is about 28 years of being treated as less than. She shifts to guilt. Our next defensive tactic after everything we've done for you. What exactly have you done for me lately? The question slips out sharper than intended, but I don't retract it. My apartment, bought it myself. My education scholarship, my car, my savings, my career, completely self-made. Another silence. Then what do you want from us, Savannah? The question catches me off guard, not because it's unexpected, but because it's the first time she's ever asked what I want. I want to be treated with the same respect you give Brandon and Olivia. My voice softens but remains firm. I want my achievements acknowledged. I want a seat at the actual table, literally and figuratively. I hear her inhale sharply, and in that breath, I sense the first crack in her armor. She knows her usual tactics aren't working. My phone buzzes with a group text from Brandon that evening. Emergency family meeting tomorrow night. We need to discuss the Savannah situation. 7 p.m. Mom and Dad's. Savannah not invited. I smile despite myself. The family is scrambling. An hour later, my 13-year-old niece sends a screenshot of their living roomy parents, Brandon and Olivia, huddled in intense conversation. Her message reads, "They're freaking out, Aunt Save. Dad keeps saying you're ruining the family. Grandma cried it's better than Netflix." The next morning, one of my father's golf buddies mentions the situation during a client meeting. "Robert says things are tense with your family right now," he says awkwardly. "Hope it all works out." When I check Facebook, my mother has posted a vague plea for prayers during this difficult family time. The comments flood with sympathetic responses, friends asking what happened, offering support without knowing the situation. They're losing control of the narrative and it terrifies them. I spend 3 hours crafting my email. Each word precisely chosen, each example meticulously documented. I attach family photos spanning years, images that clearly show the pattern of my exclusion. When finished, I address it to my entire extended family, not just my parents and siblings. I love you all, but I love myself enough to demand respect. I write in closing, then press send before doubt can creep in. Responses trickle in throughout the day. My cousin Michael, "I've watched this happen for years and never said anything. I'm sorry, Savannah." My father's sister, who stopped attending family functions years ago. "It took courage to say what I never could. Proud of you, niece." Even my mother's best friend sends a private message. "Your mother and I have been friends for 30 years, but you're absolutely right. I've seen how they treat you. I hadn't expected allies. I prepared to stand alone. Can we talk?" Olivia's voice sounds different on the phone. Smaller. "I'm listening." I curl up in my reading chair, guard still up. "I've been thinking about things." She pauses, "About how?" I wait, refusing to fill the silence. "Greg mentioned something last night." She continues. "He said he's always been confused about why you're treated differently. He thought maybe there was some history I never told him." "And what did you say?" I couldn't think of a reason. Her voice cracks slightly. "I never thought about how it looked from your side. I just accepted that's how it was." It's not exactly an apology, but it's the first crack in the family's united front. When the formal invitation arrives in my email, I almost laugh out loud. The Reeves family requests the pleasure of your company for a family discussion dinner, seating arranged by Savannah Reeves. The location is a neutral restaurant downtown, not the family home where they hold home court advantage. The time works with my schedule, not theirs. Every detail acknowledges my new position of power. I smile as I type my response. I accept for the first time in my life they're playing by my rules. Now I'll discover if my family is capable of genuine change, or if I'll need to create a life without the minute. The ball is finally in my court and I'm ready to serve. I arrive in Marcelo's 20 minutes early, my heels clicking against polished marble as the hostess leads me to the table I specifically requested when making the reservation. Round, equal, no head, no foot, no hierarchy built into the furniture itself. Perfect, I tell her, sliding my blazer from my shoulders. The material is expensive. A power color that makes my skin glow. Armor again, but different this time. Battle dress rather than camouflage. I place the name cards with deliberate care. My fingers don't tremble at all, which surprises me. My position at the symbolic north. Parents flanking me. Brandon and Olivia across the geography of confrontation, mapped with cardstock and calligraphy. The restaurant hums with quiet conversation. The discreet clinking of silverware against fine china. I check my watch. 7 minutes. I smooth my napkin across my lap. Straighten the butter knife that's already perfectly aligned. 6 minutes. I resist the urge to reach for my phone to check for a last-minute cancellation text. When they arrive together, of course I don't stand. Savannah. Mom's voice wavers between greeting and question. Dad's eyes narrow as they scan the table arrangement. The placed cards. Brandon's jaw tightens. Olivia clutches her purse strap a fraction tighter. Thank you for coming, I say. My voice steady. Professional. The voice I use in boardrooms, not family dining rooms. Please sit. They hesitate, caught in the unfamiliar dynamic, but then one by one they follow my direction. Not one of them questions the seating arrangement. First victory. Dad clears his throat as soon as they've settled, launching into what sounds like a rehearsed speech. I think we all agree that family unity is what matters most here. We need to incident and focus on healing together. Your father's right. Mom adds, her eyes already glistening with practiced tears. This has been devastating for all of us, Savannah. We've always been such a close family. Brandon leans forward, elbows on the table. Some people are just more sensitive than others. Not everything needs to be a federal case. What Brandon means, Olivia jumps in, her smile tight, is that we all love you, and surely we can find a middle ground without all this drama. I take a sip of water, letting the silence stretch until they grow uncomfortable in it. I've prepared for this exact moment. Rehearsed it in my bathroom mirror until the words feel natural. I'd like to establish some ground rules for our conversation. I say, placing my glass down precisely on its water ring. Each person speaks only for themselves. No one interrupts. And we focus on specific behaviors, not character assessments. Dad starts to object, but I hold up my hand. He stops mid-syllable. Second victory. For 28 years, I've been systematically excluded from full participation in this family. The children's table at Thanksgiving was simply the most literal manifestation of a pattern that's existed my entire adult life. I meet each of their eyes in turn. Can anyone explain why a 28-year-old successful woman should sit at a children's table? The silence that follows is devastating in its completeness. Mom's fingers worry at her napkin. Dad examines his water glass as if it holds answers. Brandon shifts uncomfortably. Olivia stares at her lap. I guess. Mom finally says, her voice small. I never really saw you as fully adult without a husband. That's how I was raised. A woman becomes a woman when she has a family of her own. Dad's admission comes gruffly. In my day, success meant family, not just career. I built something that outlasts me. Your job. It's just not the same. Maybe, Brandon adds, surprising me with his hesitancy. I've been intimidated by how easily everything comes to you. You didn't need connections or Dad's help like I did. It was easier to dismiss your achievements than admit that. Olivia's eyes shine with actual tears now, not the performative ones she usually deploys. I knew it wasn't fair how we treated you. But changing it meant acknowledging my part in it. She reaches across the table, stops short of touching my hand. I'm sorry, Savannah, truly. I absorb their words, feeling something shift inside me. Not forgiveness exactly, but recognition. The first honest conversation we've had in decades. Moving forward, I say, my voice firm but not unkind. I need certain boundaries respected. I will participate in family gatherings as an equal adult. My career and life choices will be respected. even if they're not understood. I expect acknowledgement of my achievements the same way Brandon's and Olivia's are celebrated. I fold my hands on the table. I want a relationship with all of you, but it has to be mutual respect or nothing at all. I won't hesitate to walk away again if old patterns re-emerge. They exchange glances, having a silent conversation I've been excluded from countless times before. Finally, Dad nods. You've certainly grown up, Savannah, he says. The closest thing to approval I've ever heard from him. I meet his gaze steadily. I've been grown, you're just finally seeing it. The check arrives, placed exactly between Dad and me. I reach for it before he can, sliding my credit card inside the leather folder without checking the amount. The symbolism isn't lost on any of us. When the waiter walks away, Mom touches my wrist hesitantly. Do you think it's really possible to change how we've always been? The question hangs in the air between us, honest in a way I never expected. I don't have a simple answer, and for once I don't try to manufacture one. Is it ever really possible to change decades-old family dynamics, or am I setting myself up for disappointment? My kitchen bustles with movement and conversation, a symphony of life that fills my apartment. The scent of roasting turkey mingles with cranberry and fresh herbs, familiar yet somehow new. I check my designer watch, no longer counting the minutes until escape, but noting that everything is right on schedule. Aunt Savannah, is this enough sage for the stuffing? Lucy stands on a step stool beside me, her 13-year-old hands carefully measuring herbs. Perfect. I squeeze her shoulder. You've got a natural talent for cooking. The dining table stretches through the living area of my apartment, a single expansive surface with chairs for everyone. No plastic folding tables in sight, no exile to the corner. Mom appears at my elbow, casserole dish in hand. Where would you like this, Savannah? The question still catches me off guard even a year later. On the sideboard, please. We'll bring everything to the table together. She follows my direction without comment, placing her famous green bean casserole exactly where I've indicated. The small victory still feels monumental. Dad hovers near my wine rack, bourbon untouched in his hand. That advertising campaign you developed for the Children's Hospital, quite impressive. My golf partner's son works in marketing at NYU. He mentioned it. I don't miss how he struggles to maintain eye contact, how his fingers tap against his glass, but the words are genuine. Thanks, Dad. It increased donations by 37%. Brandon appears from the living room, phone absent for once. Savannah, got a minute? I'm considering a lateral move to Thompson & Brooks. The pay cut would be temporary, but the creative opportunities. He trails off, uncertainty flickering across his face. I nearly dropped the serving spoon, Brandon asking me for career advice. It depends on your 5-year plan. Thompson's digital division is expanding rapidly. Olivia approaches her newest addition cradled against her shoulder. Would you mind holding her while I help set up? She's been fussy all morning, but she seems to like you. Without waiting for an answer, she places the infant in my arms, not as an afterthought babysitter, but as a trusted equal. The weight feels right somehow. We understand each other, don't we? I whisper to the baby, who blinks solemnly up at me. This place is gorgeous. Dad comments, gesturing around my apartment. Smart investment in this neighborhood. Mom reappears from the dining area, measuring spoons in hand. Savannah, could you sit the children? She freezes mid-sentence, color draining from her face. The room goes silent. Every eye turns toward us. Mom swallows, then corrects herself. Actually, I'd love your help arranging everyone together. You always know exactly where people should be. Our eyes meet, understanding passing between us. Happy to, I reply, accepting both her correction and what it represents. My best friend Maya emerges from the guest bathroom. Her presence alongside my family, no longer strange but essential. My father's sister, absent from family gatherings for nearly a decade, chats comfortably with Olivia's in-laws near the window. I catch my niece explaining to Maya's daughter. My aunt taught us about boundaries, her voice swelling with pride. Slipping away for a moment, I stand alone in my kitchen. Last year's humiliation at the kids' table flashes through my mind to the plastic chair, the cartoon plate, the physical manifestation of how they saw me. I pull my gratitude journal from the drawer and write a single line. Today I sat at the table I deserve. When we gather for the meal, hands linked around my table, Dad asks what we're each thankful for. When my turn comes, I say simply growth in all of us. The glances exchanged around the table speak volumes. Some traditions deserve to be broken, so better ones can be built. My place card stands at the head of the table, my name written in my own hand.